everyone, my name is Solange. I am the coach and creator of the Stable Riding System. I'm here today at the Wooden Horse Corporation where Frankie Lovato creates all of his amazing Equicizers. I use my Equicizers at my riding lab to teach my stable riding system, as well as when I travel for clinics and demos. I also even teach on them remotely. I'm here today to film some helpful videos for people who own their Equicizers so that they can improve their own riding skill set at home. In this Equicizer video, we're going to talk about mounting. So this is how I recommend that everyone gets on their Equicizer if they're in an English type saddle. You'll stand with your hip at your Equicizer shoulder and turn your stirrup towards you. You'll put your left foot in, hold on to the front and back of the saddle, and look at this angle over the horse's back. You'll shift your weight onto your left leg and stand up on your left leg and your two arms that are locked out. So you're using your arm bones. You don't have to worry about having like a lot of arm strength. I'm using my arm bones here. And now I can move my right hand towards the front of the saddle, swing my right leg over, and use my left leg and my right arm to slowly slide onto the Equicizer's back. Then to dismount, I simply reverse the process. So I'll keep my left foot in, I'll take my right foot out with both of my hands in the front. I can swing my right leg a little bit to get a little momentum going. I'm going to make sure that even if I have to lean forward to touch the front of the saddle with my hands, that I'm going to keep my chin up as much as possible. I'm going to give it a couple swings, transfer my weight, swing my right leg over. Now if you look, my right thigh and hip is on the saddle and my arms are supporting me. That lets me take my left foot out and then slide straight down. I'm very tall, so my stirrups are quite long, but even if I was mounting from a mounting block or if I had shorter stirrups, I would do the exact same thing. I just recommend that you place your mounting block exactly here, so as you're getting on, you have the same orientation. Thank you so much. Hello, it's Solange from Stable Riding. I'm here today on the Equicizer to film a video about stretching. One of the most common questions we receive from Equicizer owners is what kind of stretches they can do before they start their exercise to help their riding. We as humans spend more time not on a horse than on a horse, which means that often our hips and our pelvis and our thighs are quite tight. So I recommend when you first mount on your Equicizer to take your feet out of your stirrups and let your legs hang down all the way for about 5 minutes. That's how long it'll take for your thighs and your hips and your pelvis to relax and open up. As you do this, a lot of riders find it very beneficial to do some twisting from their top line because they'll find that they have more range of motion one way than the other. So oftentimes my riders and students will like to do something that looks like this and hold it for a beat or two and see how their body feels in that direction. And then again here, back to this direction. I can already tell that I'm tight twisting to the left. I often caution my riders to do this very gently and to stay a little bit more on the side that they're stiff on than the other. If you want to make this more difficult, you can twist again and then look behind you. That's going to add an added stretch down this side of your body. So as I return to this side, as I turn my head and look towards my horse's tail, I'm opening this whole side of my body up. Once you complete some upper body rotations with your feet out of your stirrups, we then recommend putting your feet in your stirrups and doing the same thing. So here when we twist, I can really push this leg open and down and out and away from the Equicizer. So the leg on the outside of rotation, you can drop into your heel and really press into your stirrup a little bit because you'll have some resistance with your stirrup. If you're confident and balanced in a standing position, you can stand and do the same thing. Twist here and then look behind you, look straight, twist here and then look behind you. And one of my students' favorite stretches is to, at the very end, lean all the way forward with their feet in their stirrups and sort of allow their hips to slide beneath them, behind them, because often they say they feel a really great stretch down the back of their legs and across their back. And some of my riders, depending on their type of saddle they have and the length of their arms, will even grip onto the handles, and we always end our stretching segments by saying, go ahead and lean forward and give your horse a big hug. Hello everyone, it's Solange from Stable Riding, And in this video with the Equicizer, I'm going to talk to you about how to practice your walking motion in an English saddle. I recommend doing this sort of exercise set for about 3 to 5 minutes. So we'll start with our feet in our stirrups. We'll go ahead and pick our reins up. We're going to do a little quick body scan to make sure we're in the correct riding position, and we'll start at the top of our head. So our chin's going to be level, our hands are going to be close enough to our body that we can open our throat and widen our shoulders from left to right. We'll lean back from our waist the amount that puts our 2 seat bones in the saddle so we can feel our seat bones. And we're going to go ahead and turn our toes out at a 45-degree angle, drop our heels down, and push a little bit harder with the big toe part of our foot and the pinky toe part of our foot. For this walking motion, I'm just going to gently start to move the Equicizer, and very slowly, at an even metered rhythm, I'm going to move my left seat bone and then my right seat bone. And I can let this motion travel down into my legs a little bit. I'm going to exaggerate it for the video. It's going to feel like you're doing this. And if in the beginning you have to do this, that's okay. That's the benefit of having an Equicizer. You can make something really big and obvious because you're not on a live horse. So once you feel right side, left side, left side, you can start to make it smaller and smaller until it's just your hips and the ever so slight pedaling motion into your heels. And then to keep my hands steady as I do this, I'm going to think about having relaxed elbows, because the give and take from the motion of the horse's head, not where I'm pulling on their reins every time they move, comes from having relaxed open fingers and relaxed elbow joints. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk, and I can walk a little bit faster if I want to encourage my horse forward to have a larger stride and an extended walk, or I can start to slow that down by halting the motion of my core. That's how I recommend that you practice walking at home on your Equicizer. Hello everyone, it's Solange from Stable Riding, and in this video we're going to talk about practicing your posting trot with your Equicizer. So if you were here in your walk, which is in a previous video, and you'd like to transition into what your trot's going to feel like, you're going to bring your leg back so it's directly beneath you because your stirrups are the floor that you're standing up off of. Keep your toe out at a 45-degree angle and your heel down, and you're going to put your calf on the ribs of the Equicizer. That's what you're going to grip with. You're going to keep your chin up and expand your throat open to keep your chin up as you incline forward from your waist the amount that takes your weight out of your seat bones and puts it on your feet and your stirrups. Then to practice the upbeat, you're going to push off your stirrup to unbend your knee to lift yourself all the way up. And I recommend that when you practice this, you unbend your knee fully. You might not unbend your knee fully on your individual horse, depending on their gait, but for the purpose of this exercise on the Equicizer, you're going to unbend your knee all the way. So this is a snapshot of the way your upbeat looks. Your chin is up, your throat is open, your shoulders are wide, your arms are relaxed. You've unbent your knee fully so your hip is above your foot, your toes are out, your heels are down, you're gripping with your calf, and you're pushing harder with the big toe part of your foot and the pinky toe part of your foot. To come into your downbeat in a controlled fashion, a lot of riders talk to me about they feel like they land too heavily on their horse's back. You're going to think about using the muscles in your thighs to control your downbeat like a squat. So it's going to look like this. Lower and touch. Now you'll notice that when I touch, I'm in the same inclined forward position from my waist as I was when we started. This is keeping my weight in my feet. So now I can push off my stirrups to rise up, close my knee to touch. Push off my stirrups to rise up, close my knees to touch. The benefit of this exercise is you can do it as fast or as slow as you want. And you can pause and look and say, are my heels down? Did I relax my arms? Is my chin up? Before you come back down again. And that's the true benefit of having a tool like the Equicizer. It gives you time to stop, pause, and assess your riding position. Hello everyone, it's Solange from Stable Riding, and in this Equicizer video, we're going to talk about the canter motion. So to start emulating your horse's canter motion, I have riders start by simply moving their hips all the way behind them to all the way in front of them. Push, 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 push. Just like in our walking video, you can take the motion of the canter and begin to push it out through your feet and pedal through your ankles and your knees. This grounds the motion of the horse out and allows your top line to be very smooth. You can do it really big in the beginning, again, to make it really obvious, and then you can slowly start to dial it in so you have a little bit more efficiency with your motions and you're a little bit smoother. In the beginning, you're moving both of your hips at the same time, which is good practice to move your pelvis independent of your rib cage. But eventually you'll want to be able to move one hip, like your left hip, and then the other, like your right hip. And what this does is it emulates your horse's canter lead. So how I recommend riders practice this is once they start moving with both hips at the same time, they move just their left hip for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strides, come back to center and move both hips for 4 or 5 strides, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strides with the right hip, come back to center again, and repeat back and forth. Often you'll feel that once one side of your body moves freer or smoother than the other, that would be your good side. If you encounter one side that's a little bit stiffer, I recommend having a couple extra pushes on that stiff side to unlock that side of your body. Hello, it's Solange from Stable Riding, and in this Equicizer video, I'm going to review the hip motion exercise that emulates sitting your canter, but from this angle you should be able to see my independent seat bone movement a little bit better. I'm actually going to put my reins down, and I'm going to hold my hands up here so you can clearly see my pelvis while I'm riding. So to start my canter motion, I'm going to move both my hips simultaneously at the same time, behind and under, behind and under, behind and under, to get my seat bones and my pelvis moving independent of my rib cage. Then to pick up my left lead, I would do this. Left, 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 back to center, and right, 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 right. You're going to feel your femur rotating on the saddle as you do it. That's normal, natural, and something that we want to see. We want to see your leg move and you ground out the motion of the horse into your stirrups as you're riding, because this is what allows you to be smooth on the horse's back. So the exercise that I recommend is do both seat bones together for 5 strides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then left seat bone. Left, 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 back to center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then right, 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 and then back to center again. Hello everyone, it's Solange from Stable Riding, and in this Equicizer video I'm going to give you a front view of what my 2-point looks like in an English saddle. If I start here in my deep seat, I'm going to bring my feet back so my stirrups are beneath me, turn my toes out at a 45-degree angle, push harder with my big toe than my pinky toe, and have my calf touching the horse. I'm then going to keep my chin up by expanding my throat as I incline forward from my waist the amount that takes my seat bones off the saddle and puts my weight strongly and fully into my stirrups and feet. From here, I'm going to push off my stirrups to unbend my knee to lift myself up. The alignment I'm looking for is that my hip is over my foot, because when my hip is over my foot, I'm balanced from my upper body and I have a lot of freedom with my head and my torso and my hands and my arms, because my lower body is aligned and supporting me. So you can see from the front, my toes are out at a 45-degree angle, my heels are down, I'm pushing harder with the big toe part of my foot than the pinky toe part of my foot, and my grip is with my calf. In this position, I can open and close my knee joint to raise and lower myself. I can pedal from side to side. I can do all these sorts of exercises that emulate the motion of the horse beneath me while reinforcing the stability of my seat. Hello, it's Solange from Stable Riding, and in this Equicizer video we're going to talk about applying your leg aids. People often have difficulty applying their leg, squeezing, kicking, or spurring their horse. They're not sure if they're doing it right, they're not sure if their horse is responding, and oftentimes they'll lose their stirrup. From this front angle, you can see my base starting position with my leg, toe out at a 45-degree angle, heel down, big toe pressing more than the pinky toe part of my foot. Because my foot is away from the horse at a 45-degree angle, it's funneling my heel and my leg bones back towards my horse. So the most economical and efficient way for me to apply leg aid would be to straighten my leg from my knee and then bend my knee until my leg comes back and touches the horse. The part of my leg that touches the horse and the part of the horse that my leg touches is based a little bit on how long my legs are, how wide my horse is, how long my stirrups are, and the kind of saddle I'm in. So unless you're specifically riding in spurs, it doesn't really matter exactly what part of your leg touches, your horse will understand that you're applying leg aid. So for instance, if I was walking and I wanted to trot and I needed to use both of my legs, it would look like this. So as I brought my legs back to squeeze the horse, I've pushed my toes down a little bit, and I'm pushing with the ball of my foot along my stirrup, and that's why my foot hasn't come out of my stirrup. I'm bringing my stirrup with me. And then once my horse walks forward and I release that aid pressure, I return to this position. So again, you can see bend my knee, put my toe down, squeeze and hold, and then release. And if I wanted to apply one leg for lateral motion, or if I was cueing a specific lead, with this leg, I would drive this foot down and out away from me and bring this leg back and apply this leg on and then release. And then for the opposite, I would push this leg down and I would bring this leg back, push, hold, and then release. Hello, it's Solange from Stable Riding, and in this Equicizer video, we're going to talk about two-pointing in your English saddle. So let's say that you're practicing this like going from a walk to a two-point, or from a sitting canter if you were sitting up to the base of a fence in your canter motion. It's time for us to now rise up into our two-point because our horse is about to jump. The first step is to bring your lower leg back beneath you, because remember, your stirrups are the floor, they're what you're standing up off of, so you need to have the floor under you. My toes out at a 45-degree angle, my heels are down. I'm pushing harder with my big toe part of my foot than the pinky toe part of my foot. And my grip is with my calf because it's the only non-moving, static, stable part of my leg that I can grip and hug along my horse's rib cage with. In my upper body, I'm going to incline forward from my waist the amount that takes my weight out of my seat bones and puts it squarely in my feet. As I incline forward from my waist to make sure that I'm not looking down, I have to open my throat as I do this to keep my chin up. From here, all my weight's now in my feet and my stirrups, and I can simply push off my feet and my stirrups and my heels to unbend my knee and raise my hip up over my foot. In this position, my legs and my stirrups are completely providing me with all the stabilization I need to jump. I have a little bit of play with my knees and my ankles so I can absorb the motion of the horse beneath me. My upper body is very upright, and I'm not in any way leaning or pushing on my horse's forehand, because if my horse is going quickly, if my horse is going uphill or over a fence, my horse needs the freedom to use its forehand and its front end. To return to the saddle, I'm going to, much like in my posting downbeat, use the muscles in my legs to close my knee joint and simply return my pelvis to the saddle safely. Hello everyone, it's Solange from Stable Riding, and in this Equicizer video, I'm going to take you from a walk to a trot to a canter, back down to a trot, back down to a walk, and a halt again, and I'm going to include rein aids and leg aids so you can see how you can practice your aid application as well as your body motion and riding positions on your Equicizer. If we imagine that I'm sitting here at a halt, the first thing that I'm going to do is ask my horse to walk. So if my reins are a little loose, I can shorten my reins slightly, chin up, throat open, shoulders back, seat bones on the saddle, heels down, and I can put both legs on, kick and squeeze and say walk, release, and begin to use my individual hips to create a walk motion. I recommend staying in each gait for maybe a minute or two so you really have a chance to settle into it and feel the differences between the different motions. From here, I would get ready to prepare to ask for a trot. So I would again, if need be, shorten my reins about 1/2 inch, put my legs on, squeeze, hold, trot, and then move into what a sitting trot would feel like. From here, for our English riders, we can incline forward from our waist and do some posting. So now we'll go ahead and post for, again, about a minute or two, and then we've decided, okay, it's time to pick up a canter. Since my left leg is the leg that you're going to see, I'm going to cue my horse with my left leg onto what would be my right lead. So then I would sit, drop my right foot down, put my left leg on, kick and hold, and then my horse would now be going into a right lead sitting canter. So I'm specifically driving with my right seat bone. Now we get to the really fun part, which is using the Equicizer to practice how to be still in our body and create good downward transitions. From this sitting canter, I'm going to drop into my heels, pause the motion of my pelvis, close my fingers around the reins, sit back, pull and hold, and you'll notice that as I do this, the really cool thing is the Equicizer's head comes up a little bit. If you do this correctly, this will happen because I'm using the structure of my core and the muscles of my back to halt my horse. If I do this, his head doesn't come up. So this is a good way that visually you can tell I halted correctly versus I halted incorrectly. So again, I'm in that right lead canter. I'm going to halt my body, come to here, break to a trot, resume posting again. Post for about a minute or two, concentrating on chin up, shoulders open and relaxed, toes out, heels down, controlling my downbeat of my post with my muscles in my thighs. Then I'm going to return to a little bit of sitting trot and again create that whoa, easy walk motion where I stop the motion of my pelvis, drop into my heels, and come back with my top line. My Equicizer's head came up, which told me that I cued correctly, and now I'm just back down into a really easy walk. I'll walk for a couple strides, imagining that I'm halting towards something like an X in the dressage arena. I'm getting to the place that I want to halt at, and deep breath in, halt. Thank you. Hello, it's Solange from Stable Riding, and in this Equicizer video, I'm going to demonstrate 3 different sort of actions that you can have with your seat and with your pelvis on the Equicizer. I'm in an English saddle today, but this would work just the same if you were in a Western saddle or a different type of English saddle. In our deep seat, when we're sitting on our horse's back, I'll use just a very plain sort of canter motion to demonstrate it because it's the biggest motion for the video. I can work on halting the motion of my pelvis, where I'd be traveling along, moving with my horse or driving my horse forward, and then I want my horse to collect beneath me and shorten its stride or begin to downward transition or halt. I'm going to do this by freezing my abs and my lower back, and that brings the motion of my body to a halt. So a lot of riders who struggle with having stability in their downward transitions or having their horse respond to their weight aids in their transitions find this exercise to be very helpful because they're sort of envisioning traveling forward, and now halt. The other difference that you can practice is the difference between following your horse's motion and driving your horse forward. So when I teach lessons, I always tell the story about the scary end of the corner that eats horses, and your horse is always afraid of one corner. Sometimes there's a door or the shavings pile or where someone keeps the tractor and the horse goes, I can't possibly go through that turn. So if you were cantering just very lightly down the long side, following the motion of your horse, as you can tell I'm moving my pelvis, but I'm not really shoving my horse forward, and then my horse is like, uh-oh mom, we're at the scary part of the corner. That tractor is going to eat me, and maybe you need a little bit more impulsion to tell them it's okay, they can continue to go forward. I can come backwards from my waist a little bit, and I can really reach back with my seat bones and hook to drive my horse forward with my pelvis to create a lengthening stride or more impulsion if they're trying to suck back beneath me. And then once they move forward correctly, I can go back to following them lightly. The ability to drive your horse versus follow your horse is what makes your weight, the motion of your body, and your weight in your seat bones an aid. For something to be an aid, it has to have an application and a release, which with reins is easy. I pull, and then I give. With kicking, it's easy. I kick or push, and then I stop kicking or pushing. But if you're sitting on your horse the whole time, how do you make that an aid? You can drive your horse forward versus follow your horse gently versus halt.